Hello, welcome to the Paper Snob. This is Tara. Today I am working on Scraplift Crafternoon with my tribe of 4 other ladies. I think everybody's working on it this week. I don't believe anybody is on vacation, so we're going to go ahead and talk about the layout that we're working on. I believe Miss Karen found this layout, and it is a fall layout. I'll put it up here in the corner for you. I will put the original creator's information down below in that description box so that you can check out her stuff as well. I'm going to do something a little bit different with this week's layout. As I have mentioned in previous videos, I am finishing up my 2015 family albums. I think most people are surprised by how many albums I have in a year. I usually do an album for each month, depending on the size of the album and depending on how many photos I have taken during that month. The month of December is a very busy month for my family. Not only do we have Christmas towards the end of the month, but our daughters were both born in December, so we have birthdays too. And of course, you know, I have to take all the pictures all the time. And sometimes for the month of December, I will have well over 1,000 photos, which means I have to pick and choose which photos I use. I used to print every photo every year. And it looks like I still printed a ton of photos for December 2015 because this is a humongous stack of them and they're not all good. These are photos of my youngest daughter, Emily, and she is opening her Christmas presents. And I think I just sat in front of her and snapped. And that's why there's so many. Like I said, there are some that aren't great, and there are some that are awesome. So I will need to go through these and choose which ones I am getting. I am going to be using my Vicky Bouton Evergreen and Holly, plus some warm wishes may be in some of this as well, because I did mix those two collections up. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to cut down some photos into 3x4 because the photos on that layout are 3x4. I'm also going to cut down some papers so that I know what I'm using. But I did want to remind you, or to tell you, I am doing a 2-page layout. So I'm going to take this layout and I am going to stretch it across 2 pages. That way I can get more photos on it. That means I will roughly have room for 8 or 9 photos, depending on how I play it. So I will be right back. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some white ink with this Vicky Bouton stencil. I believe this is from Peppermint Wishes. And right off the bat, I kind of mess up. I meant to overlap this all the way to the edges, and you can see I just did a corner there. I will go back and straighten that out. I'll line up the stencil again, and I will get it all the way to the edges like I'm doing here on the bottom. I don't know what I was thinking, but you know, it is what it is. And so I figured it out. I add the ink and no harm done, right? I need to pay more attention. And I was just kind of trying to get this started and just didn't pay much attention. So I had already taped my layout, my cardstock together, and of course I needed to get all of the edges onto my glass mat in order to finish stenciling the opposite side. So I had to undo it. No biggie, I can just tape it back here in a few. But I wanted to get all 4 corners stenciled and then the ink and stuff set aside. So I do like how this looks on here. And yes, this is white pigment ink. Yes, if you touch it, it does come off on your hands. Yes, I realize that I probably should heat set it, and I don't, and I'm not going to. Once it goes into the page protector, it won't get touched again, so I'm good with that. So I took this piece of pattern paper here, and I cut it down to 2 pieces of 6 by 9, and this is the only full piece of pattern paper that I use, 12 by 12. The rest of it is either scraps or bits and pieces from the 6 by 8 paper pad. And I do flip over that strip from the back side of this, and I use that for one of my notebook punches. No big deal. I just wanted to point that out, that the bottom, the black notebook edged borders come from the same piece of pattern paper, so therefore I used quite a bit of my paper right off the top. I only have a little bit of scraps left. So what I'm doing here is I am laying out the pattern papers and my photos just to get an idea of where things are going to go. And I'm just kind of playing around with placement right now. As you can see, I've already matted my photo, and I lied. I did use a couple more 12 by 12 sheets of pattern paper because that's where that grid paper came from. It is from one of the Evergreen and Holly 12 by 12 sheets. I cut off the green border, and I'm only using that grid part to mat my photos. So, oops, sorry. But like I said, I am just kind of playing around with placement. I will shut the camera off and glue down the background and the photos before I embellish. I'm just messing around. She used pocket cards on her layout in the lower left corner and the upper right corner. Of course, I'm spreading this across a 2-page layout. I'm not using a pocket card for the lower left corner. That is a piece of envelope ephemera with another piece of ephemera tucked into it. Right now it is not glued down, but you will not be able to pull that tag out of that envelope. It'll be glued down and popped up on some foam adhesive with a little bit of twine at the top when I'm done. I do cut out a piece of pattern paper from the 6 by 8 paper pad to kind of mat that envelope a little bit. I wanted to make a visual triangle of that piece of pattern paper, and so I will do that. So here is another scrap of pattern paper. This scrap actually I used for my Stamp It Like It's Hot layout at the beginning of the month. And that is the piece that I gutted from the inside of the stocking pattern paper, and I just flipped it over and I'm using the stripe. I'm going to go into the 6 by 8 paper pad, and I will find a sheet of pattern paper that is the same color scheme as the stripes, but it's not going to be the exact same thing because I don't have any more of it. At first I thought I was going to be using these cut apart cards on the layout, and I ended up putting the one that you see right here away because I don't like it, and the one at the top ends up down on the bottom. Like I said, I am just playing with placement right now, and then I'm going to shut the camera off and do some gluing. So off camera, I glued down my photos and all of the pattern papers. And here you can see I did move some things around a little bit because I had the two on the top row on the left hand side. I had those two photos on the right, the middle and the right photo on the bottom. And because she's looking at the camera, I thought it looked off balance on the bottom, so I switched them up to the top. Anyway, as you can see, I matted that envelope with a 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch piece of pattern paper. That is exactly the same size of the mat on my 3 by 4 photos as well. I put that chipboard ornament with the banner on it and the word joy on top of that. And I'm going to grab some of the puffy stars, and I'm going to put a few of those up here on my 3 by 4 cut apart card, which I also matted on a 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch piece of that craft and cream floral pattern paper. And you can already see the start of my visual triangle with that pattern. On the right hand page, bottom left, you can see the larger print sticking out there on the bottom, and I did that so that it would draw your eyes across. It's just a very subtle visual triangle. I also created a visual triangle with some of my words, but I noticed that she had a lot of words on her layout, and so I'm trying to get as many of those as possible. I thought I might use this branding strip and the word Merry Christmas as my title. It's too long, it doesn't fit quite right, and I don't want it to hang off my photos, and I don't want it to go up towards that top row. So instead, I choose some of the phrases from the phrase sheet, and it says bright smile. And my daughter is very joyful and very smiley in these photos. She was such a joy to watch. And funny thing is, part of the reason I use the word joy on her layouts a lot of the times is because that's her middle name. She was born 6 days after Christmas. She was 3 weeks early. And she's always just been such a great joy to have and to love, and I really loved watching her open her Christmas presents when she was little. She was quite fun. All right, this layout is completely finished. I tried to stay as true to her layout as possible while making this a double page layout. You can see that I kind of flipped it up here. She had her journaling here. Well, I made sure it was still here, but I put 3 photos on the left side and 2. So this row on this side is the same as her layout. And then of course, this row here is close to the bottom half of her layout. And so I just alternated where the row of 6 photos went. I didn't have a lot of the same pattern papers, and I was trying to use scraps. So these 2 pieces are scraps. This, and this are all scraps as well. And of course I used my notebook punch, border punch on those. And I did do a visual triangle with this piece, and this piece. These 2 are from the 6x8 paper pad. This is a scrap of 12x12 pattern paper, but it is the same print, just a little bit smaller. So there's a visual triangle here. I also tried to make sure I put words where she had words, and just kind of tried to stay as true to her layout as possible. I got my journaling on here. This layout had journaling on it to begin with, so that makes me happy that I didn't have to try to build it in this time. And for the most part, I think you can see where I drew my inspiration from, but still getting a double page layout. I did, of course, as you saw, add some white stenciling, and normally I would absolutely go in and do some heat embossing on that to make sure that it stays. My fingers are covered in the white ink a little bit, so I may still have to go and do that, but I don't think so. I think it's going to be fine. I don't mind if it comes off a little bit. It's going to end up in a page protector, so it won't come off on your hands when you're looking at my album. I want to thank you so much for coming to my channel today. I really appreciate those of you who take the time to like, comment, and or subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, click that button below. And if you need to be notified by YouTube when I put out new content, go ahead and click the bell. YouTube will send you a notification letting you know when content comes onto my channel. I do have a goal of 2 to 4 videos per week. It is December. This is the busiest month of the year for most of us, and so I hope that you will allow me a little bit of leeway here as I am scrapping when I have time. I know last week or earlier this week I told you that I needed to get my Christmas tree up. You'll be glad to know that I have it up. It is partially decorated. We need to finish doing the special ornaments on the tree later this evening. So hopefully by the time this video plays, my tree will be fully decorated and safe from kitty cats. Luckily, our cats don't really mess with the tree. They never have, but there's always a first time. So you guys have a great rest of your Sunday. Bye.